Good morning. I'm glad you all are here. And I want to welcome the new lawyers to the State Bar and to the profession. And I want to welcome and thank you, mentors, for getting involved in this program, being willing to share your expertise and your time with the new lawyers. I think clearly it's something that's essential. I can probably kind of guess, but how many of you are new lawyers? Okay. And mentors? All right, great. Okay. Well, to give you kind of a little info about what we're going to do, Anita Otero from the MCLE board was going to talk with folks about CLEs, but she ended up being double booked this morning. So we don't have that. I will go over a few things during the day, but I also want to let you know, in case you didn't see them, out at the front desk, there are some brochures from the MCLE board, and I want to encourage you to take one of those with you. And next to them are brochures from the Lawyers and Judges program, which is the other hat that I wear. I'm the clinician and program manager for that. And I also want to encourage you to take a brochure for that. I know that most of you will probably look at it and think, I don't need that. I don't have any substance abuse problems. I'm not depressed. I'm good. That's great. I can tell you that during your career, you are going to encounter people who are suffering from depression, dealing with intense anxiety, people who have substance abuse problems, even if none of those ever pertain specifically to you or anybody in your family. You will have colleagues, you will encounter paralegals and other people who do. And the program is available to provide assistance, support, offer resources. So it's a good thing to just, take the brochure, stick it in the top drawer, have it there. Comes a time when you need it, you want to look at something, you've got it there. So please consider taking one. Today we've got a small group, got some time, so please feel free to ask questions as we go along. And if for some reason I don't get to your question or I'm not able to answer it this morning, please write it down and I'll take it with me and make sure to get your question fully answered for you. Okay. What we're going to be doing today is just sort of the general orientation from now until noon, and then we'll be moving across the hall for lunch, and it'll give you a chance to kind of meet each other, talk a little bit. I know we've got at least a couple folks who are here, mentor and mentee together, but some other people aren't. So, give you a chance to get to know some other new lawyers and some other mentors, too. So to kind of go a little over the program and why do we have this mentorship program, which is a common question, just to give you a bit of history, there was a well-known, very widely respected attorney, Bill Kitts, who was really invested in mentoring new lawyers to the point that he would actually go with a new lawyer to their first deposition, their first trial, sit in, and then process it with them and give them feedback. And he was, unfortunately, died in an automobile accident in 1982. And several lawyers got together who were friends of his and colleagues and wanted to really honor him, and so they started the Bill Kitts Society, which was a voluntary mentoring program. And that went on for quite a few years, but one of the problems with it is that it was voluntary, so it was very scattered. It also really wasn't statewide. It tended to be pockets where more of it was going on. And there wasn't any real structure to it. And meanwhile, kind of in the profession, we were seeing, we were experiencing more issues with really some lack of professionalism, people getting into some problems ethically, and kind of a growing dissatisfaction with the profession. And so in 2010, Steve Shaner, who was then the president of the State Bar in New Mexico, came up with the idea of putting together a much more structured mentorship program. And he pitched that to the Supreme Court. They discussed it. They looked at some other mentorship programs and decided, okay, let's do it. And they decided so that it would be equitable, it would be fairly applied to make that mandatory. So the goals of the program are really to provide you, new lawyers, with meaningful access to experienced lawyers. And in that process, they'll be able to share their practical skills with you. They are very seasoned attorneys, and they've got a lot of good judgment to share with you. They have also a sensitivity to ethical and professionalism values that we hope will be imparted during their year of mentorship. One of the goals, what we're hoping is that the mentorship program really helps kind of build more involvement in the profession, more pride in the profession, and is helping people build long-term professional relationships. And I will say that from the feedback that we get, we're now have the third group going through the program, the third class, so to speak. And the mentorship relationships, I think, are the piece that are really shining in the program. People are talking about how important those relationships have been and how much they're learning from the person and really making a lot of connections and lifelong connections. So that's something we're real pleased to hear and certainly something we want to see happening. It's really, take it as an opportunity. I know whenever something is mandatory, it always puts a little damper on the enthusiasm for it. And, I hear from people, I do recognize and understand, you've spent 3 long, hard years in law school, with your nose to the grindstone. You've passed your bar exam. It's not like, you're just coming out here with yeah, I don't know what to do, You've got expertise already. You've developed some skills. But there's more to learn as well. And please take this as an opportunity to be able to really form some supportive and useful relationships. Realize that it is a way to kind of vicariously learn. There's some hard knocks that mentors have had over the years, things they've learned about judges, things they've learned about process, relationships, all sorts of things that they can pass on. And hopefully in doing that, there's a few maybe mistakes or a few, kind of difficult positions that you'll be able to avoid, because you've learned about it already from your mentor. It's also a chance to really get some exposure to different areas of law. It's not uncommon for people to end up switching areas of law over time. Somebody might come in and initially be working in family law and decide to make a move into a different type or maybe specialize in even an area within that. And certainly it's very common for people to change types of practices. People will start out in government practice and then move to a firm and vice versa. Somebody might start with a small firm and go into a large firm or decide to open up their own practice. So the program, the curriculum, the way it's set up, some of the encounters with your mentors will give you a chance to kind of have a broader experience with that. It's also a real good opportunity, I think, to really safely explore ethics in the real world. And again, I know all of you have had ethics classes in law school. You've got knowledge about that. But I'll also tell you, and I'm sure any of our mentors will tell you, that there's course learning and then there's real life experiences. And never in a course can they cover everything that might happen. And so this is a chance, as things are coming up, questions are coming up, for you to be able to talk about it with your mentor, and do that in a safe way. What it is not is a case referral system or a job creator program. Although I will say there are people who have made connections and have ended up, getting hired into firms or, taking a different path than they initially thought they would, as a result of some of the people they've met. But it's not certainly not any of the purposes or goals of the program. So with the program is under Rule 24-110. That kind of sets out how the program works, what is expected. And I want to encourage both the mentors and the new lawyers to read that rule. It won't take you more than a few minutes, but it's helpful to have that. There are some, one of the first things is there are some new lawyers who may defer or be exempt from the program in certain situations. If you're here today, I'm assuming that you probably do not meet the criteria for that. But just in case, I'll run by it. And certainly we are also taping this to put it online for other people who will do the orientation. So kind of cover those things. There are people who are in court clerkships, and they can exempt during their their clerkship for 2 years, up to 2 years. So that's one time when someone might exempt. Also, if someone is unemployed, they're not currently practicing law, maybe they've got a job, but it's not in the field yet, they are able to defer for up to 6 months if they choose to. Exemptions are primarily for people if you've practiced elsewhere for at least 2 years in another state, then you are exempt from this program. But we don't know that automatically. So anybody who does meet that criteria for exemption or deferment needs to fill out the application and take care of that portion of it. Also, lawyers who are admitted under a limited license who are here are exempt from the program. And finally, if you happen to be a lawyer who lives in another state, a neighboring state perhaps, and that is where your primary practice is, then you would be exempt from this program. Okay. So those are the main things in terms of exemption. For those of you who are going through the program, and I'm assuming it's all of you, the expectation is that you'll complete the mentorship program by December 31st of your first full year after admission. So for example, how many of you were sworn in April this year? Okay. So the expectation for you all is that you will complete the mentorship program by December 31st of 2015. Okay. You can start working with your mentor now. And if you've already selected your mentor, they're an approved mentor, I would encourage you to. I think one of the things it does is give you some flexibility and give you a little break if your schedules get really full and you find there's a month or two where you're not able to meet. If you've already started before, you're not going to be under the gun, and you'll have a little more time and won't be so anxious about that. But the important piece is that you must finish by December, in your case, of 2015. But it's the first full year after admission. When you complete the program successfully and your mentor submits the certificate, then each of you, the mentor and the new lawyer, will both get 12 CLEs. That will take care of your full year of required CLEs. 10 of those are general, 2 of them are ethics and professionalism. So that takes care of it. For those of you new lawyers who were sworn in this year, you're not required to get CLEs this year, your partial year. So you don't have to worry about that. But one of the things that we've been encountering is there seems to be a lot of confusion at times about CLEs. So again, I really want to encourage you to take one of those pamphlets, let you know that the CLE office is like directly above the auditorium almost, on the second floor here. They're very open to walk-ins, they're open to phone calls. Something that's real, I think, helpful on our website, there's if you go to the main website for the State Bar, www.nmbar.org, in the left column, you'll see a little thing that says MCLEs, check credits. I encourage you to do that and go online. It'll take you to the page where you can create your username and password. And then whenever you've got a question at any time for the rest of your career about, gee, that class I took online, or that self-study I did, or that workshop I went to, at the bar, I hope my CLEs, got accredited, you can go on to that login and you can check. and it'll show all of your CLEs and how you're standing with that. So I really want to encourage you to do that. Mentors, in terms of CLEs, mentors can mentor every year if you want to. But and I was not with the program when we first started, so I'm not sure of the conversation with that, but the decision was made that the CLE credits would only be given to mentors every other year. What I'm thinking is that they wanted to make sure that people were still taking some workshops, getting up to date, with maybe their specialty area or whatever. So there is that caveat for the mentors. And again, just to kind of stress the importance of meeting the deadlines of the program, if you fail to complete the program in a timely fashion and you haven't contacted us, maybe something came up and you really do need a little bit of an extension, we'll work with you, okay? But if we don't know what's going on, December comes and goes, the year's over, we haven't heard anything from your mentor, haven't heard anything from the new lawyer, we're not going to be submitting any CLEs to the MCLE board, and before you know it, you're going to be considered in non-compliance for that and with our program, and fines can start mounting up, and ultimately it can lead to suspension. We don't want that to happen for anybody, so please make sure that you're meeting the deadlines, and if anything's coming up that's making that difficult, call us, talk to us about it. We really are very flexible. Our goal is to help you get through the program, for this to be a good experience. Okay, so we'll help in any way that we can. Now, I know one of the things that people, when we talk about negative feedback, is the fee. People want to know, why do I have to pay this? And it's so much. And again, I know, you're just starting out in a new career. Some of you probably have student loans. You're looking at $300 for the new lawyers. I'm sorry, it's not my decision, but what I can tell you is it's not a moneymaker. We're not making a profit off of you. Really, it doesn't actually cover the cost of administering the program and paying the CLE board for the CLEs. For some of you, I know that you're going to get credits because you work for the public defender's office, or you work for the DA, or maybe a very large firm that does in-house CLE programs. But for many other people, you've got to go out and hunt down those CLE programs and pay for them. And in those cases, what you're paying for this program, is about the same or maybe even less sometimes than what you will pay for CLEs over the years. We do have some scholarships. They're limited in number, and I have been sending out letters. Now I'm starting to make phone calls. Pretty soon I'll probably be going begging, but talking to associations and sections and different groups to get them to provide some scholarships. But if that's something you think you need, please contact me. There was a place on your new lawyer application to fill that out, but if you didn't and now you're thinking, I really could use some help, some of the scholarships we do have can be up to $150, half of the fee. So give me a call, let me know your situation, and I'll put you on the list and we'll do what we can. The other option is that you can do a payment plan. The way we have it set up right now, you're supposed to pay the first half in March of the year you're going through the program, and then the second half needs to be paid by the end of the year. So again, for you all who were sworn in 2014, your first payment's due March 1st of 2015. But if you want to, you can do a payment plan with us and even start paying, this month, next month, which at least makes those monthly payments a lot smaller and a little easier to handle. So again, talk to us. Talk to me or talk to Elizabeth, and we'll work with you on that. So kind of some of the program basics of getting started. If you're a mentor, hopefully you've got an official letter from the Bridge the Gap Mentorship Program saying, congratulations, thank you. The Supreme Court has appointed you as a mentor. If you haven't gotten that yet, I think we do have at least one person here today who's going through the vetting process. So that will be still a few weeks out before that's completed. And to let new lawyers know as well, all of the mentors in this program are approved and vetted. It's not just a matter of, hey, do you want to be my mentor? You know, you've been around for a while. You seem to know what you're doing. There's criteria that they need to meet. They have to have a clean disciplinary record. They need to have at least 7 years legal practice experience, and 5 of those in New Mexico. Trying to think what else. They need to have liability insurance, professional liability insurance, a couple other things. And then when they have all of those criteria and they've submitted their application, we have a vetting committee that considers all of those applications. So they're taking this very seriously, you know, and part of what they're hoping to accomplish with this program is to really build a sense of community, to build the professionalism in the community. We have some people who are technically very good lawyers, and they've got a great track record in terms of how many cases that they've won. But the way in which they win those cases might be something that, as a group, the State Bar and its membership don't really want to put out there as the, you know, the model. And so they look actually at the individual and, you know, how they practice, how they're seen in the community as part of that vetting process. So they go through that. Once they're approved, then the names all go up to the Supreme Court and they make the official stamp of approval. So once that's happened, then you as a mentor are put on the mentorship list. And the new lawyers can review that list and make some selections. Elizabeth and I do not do the matching. You know, in an ideal world, we would know all of the mentors. We would really have a sense of their personalities, their practice, you know, their nuances, and we'd be able to really help say, you know what, I think you would be perfect with so-and-so. But we have over 9,000 attorneys in the state now, and quite frankly, Elizabeth and I don't know all of them, and we don't know all of the mentors well enough. So we're starting out asking the new lawyers to look carefully at the list of mentors. The information that's provided on that list, you'll have information about the type of practice, if they're in a solo firm, small firm, big firm, DA's office. You'll have information about the type of law that they practice. You'll have information about kind of their specialty areas, and if there's any particular things that they think they excel at that they could work with you on, like practice management skills, for example, work-life balance, things like that. So you can look at that, and what I suggest is you go through that list, you narrow it down maybe to a couple of people, and then make contact with those individuals and talk to them a little bit and kind of get a feel for, does this seem like somebody that I would be comfortable with and that it would be a good match? And also doing that because sometimes things come up where a mentor has been available, they've told us they're available, but then, you know, life happens and, you know, maybe they get pregnant and they have complications, or, you know, they suddenly get a huge case and they realize, oh, I am going to be working 24/7 on this case. I don't think I can give the time really that I want to give to a new lawyer right now. So, you know, there are occasions where you'll call somebody and, you know, we have them marked as available, but some things have changed and they're saying, you know, I just don't think right now I can commit to that. You know, don't take it personally. It does happen. It would be helpful if you let us know so we can kind of check with that mentor, and maybe we'll use a color system, so we'll color them unavailable, and go on to, you know, another person that you think might work. If you need some help or there's some specific things we don't have up online, if you're looking for somebody who's part of the LGBT community, Or you're thinking, you know, I really would like to work with another black lawyer, or I really want to work with a Hispanic lawyer or a Native American lawyer or something like that, then call us and we can provide some guidance. We can kind of help you narrow down that list a little more, because that's not included in what you see on the online in the mentor list. So once you've selected, talk to the person, the two of you decided, yeah, we think this will work, let's do it. Then get a hold of Elizabeth and let her know. You can email her, is probably the best, and let her know who you've selected. She will in turn send both of you a confirmation email saying, okay, we've got you matched. Here's the next thing that you need to do. And the next thing, obviously, is to schedule really your first official meeting. At that meeting, you're going to want to start talking about your goals for the mentorship. I want to encourage you. We've got a lot of resources. And the very first one, resource number 1, talks about that first meeting, kind of how to prepare for it, what to ask each other, what to look at. So I want to encourage you to utilize those. They're all online at the mentorship website, and we also have some flash drives available out front. We've got all the materials on those too if you prefer to have it that way. Do that, and then what you're going to do is look at your curriculum, and you're going to choose some electives. You're going to mark those off. You're going to sign the mentorship agreement, and you're going to send that back to us. And those we would like by the end of December, okay, for starting the program. Mentors, one thing. If you get matched with a new lawyer, and then, you know, you don't hear from them. Weeks go by. We're coming up on December 31st, and you're thinking, gee, I thought I was going to be working with that young lawyer. Please call us. Let us know, or call them first. That would be good. Try to contact them. But if there seems to be an issue, please let us know, you know, as soon as you can. It doesn't happen often, but we've had a few situations where, you know, they submitted the curriculum, and then for whatever reason, you know, the new lawyer, they didn't schedule meetings, nothing was happening, and 6 months into the year, you know, we finally hear from the mentor, you know, I've never heard a word from that person again. And we've already lost a half a year. So, you know, if anything like that's happening, please let us know right away. And on the same hand, I don't expect it to happen, but, you know, new lawyers, if suddenly you're trying to schedule sessions with your mentor and they're saying, I'll get back to you, I got to look at my schedule, and, you know, another 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by and you're waiting, call us. Okay, give us a call if you're not getting the communication you need with your mentor. Questions yet? Any? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, some of the program basics. You do have an individual curriculum plan and a mentorship agreement. Again, those are online. And those are due by December 31st of this year for you. The basic requirement is that we are expected to meet a minimum of 12 hours because you're getting 12 CLE credits for it. Most of our mentors and new lawyers have told me that they spend more than 12 hours on this program. And that is something that we're looking at. We just had a forum last week. Some of you were here at it. I'm going to be working with some of our previous participants and with the Commission on Professionalism, which is the group that oversees this program. I'm going to be working with them on revising the curriculum and some of the program. But for right now, and this piece I'm sure will stay firm, is that you're required to meet at least 12 hours over 12 months. Again, you can take more time than that if you want to start ahead of time. And at least 7 of those meetings need to be face-to-face. There are some elements of the curriculum that could lend themselves to you having a conference call about it. So, you know, if your time, you find some time where you're just having a difficult time with your schedules in a month and there are some things that you've selected that would make sense on the phone, go ahead. You can do that. The other piece then is the certificate of satisfactory completion. I would say by and large, most of this program, the responsibility is with the new lawyer. It's your responsibility to get your mentor. It's your responsibility to make sure you've got your meetings set up, that you're going to be, working with the program the way you need to. But the one form, and actually for the new lawyers, I mean, you two can work it out how you want to do it, but usually the new lawyers submit the curriculum plan. But the mentors must complete the certificate of satisfactory completion. Without that, it's not official. So it doesn't work for a new lawyer to send it to us. That needs to come from the mentor. And at the end of the program, we ask the mentor and the new lawyer to complete the online program evaluation, which is connected. It goes through SurveyMonkey. For the new lawyers, there also is a pre-program evaluation that we would like you to complete. And if you haven't done that yet, if you can do that in the next week or two, it would be great. And it's not very lengthy. It shouldn't take you too long with it. So what is this curriculum that I'm talking about? Well, hopefully, it's a method to really learn kind of the practical aspects of law through a learning plan that's been divided into 4 quarters. And within those quarters, there's probably up to 300 activities that you can select from. Different readings, discussions, resources. I think we have 40 resources that are connected to different activities in the curriculum. Out of it, 13 topics are mandatory. Everybody must complete, have a conversation, do those things. The majority of the curriculum is optional in that you can pick and choose some kind of cafeteria plan. Okay. There are 18 substantive law sections, and each of those have example activities as well. The curriculum, the quarters are as such. First one is the legal community and the greater community you live in. And so some of the mandatory pieces in that one will be talking about the Code of Professional Conduct, going to a bar association or section meeting together. Trying to think what else is in there. Do you remember anything, Michelle? I know you've done this before, but not to put you on the spot, but okay, those are the biggies. And you'll see it when you look at the curriculum. I just realized I forgot to bring it with me. Let's see what else I have. Yeah, talking about the rules of civility. Oh, well, 2 real important ones. One of the discussions that we have as a mandatory piece, I think, actually 2 of them are, one, talking about the MCLEs. And again, because that can get you into major hot water if you don't complete them. So we want to make sure people understand. And reviewing the bar dues form and talking about that. Especially when you're a new lawyer coming in, I can't even tell you how many times I've had people say, I already paid that. I already did that. And I'll go into our data system and look, and I'll say, no, actually what you did was you paid for the mentorship program, but you didn't pay the dues. Or no, you paid the dues, you're right, you're covered there, but you didn't pay the mentorship program. Or some other thing. So we want everybody to talk about those, go over, make sure you're really clear about those, because either one of those being non-compliant will get you mounting fines very quickly, and if you don't take care of them, can get you suspended. I was just dealing with a young lawyer. I'm not sure what happened. I think she was just overwhelmed with her practice and everything she was doing. But she hadn't paid her dues on time and still owed for the mentorship program, so her CLEs weren't sent over, and before she knew it, she had racked up like $350 extra in fines from the MCLE board, and then fines for being late on paying her membership dues, and still didn't take care of them, you know, and is now at a point where she's looking at over $1,000 and having to go through character and fitness again. You know, now that's an extreme, and you know, that's the first I've heard, you know, it go that far. But it can start to snowball really quickly. So you want to make sure you really understand exactly what you're paying for, what your responsibilities are, and making sure you've got those taken care of. And so there's, you know, you'll be talking about that the first quarter. Second quarter, personal and professional development and ethics. Part of what you'll be talking about there that's a mandatory discussion is talking about substance abuse and mental health in the profession, some of the issues. Again, we do have a resource for that, so mentors don't feel like, you know, you've suddenly got to be a therapist, or, you know, you've got to have all the expertise in that area. We've got a resource, and I'm also a resource. You know, if you want to put together a presentation, you know, you want me to come out, or you just have some questions, just give me a call or send me an email. I'm happy to help with that. There's also, you know, other aspects of professional development and a lot of emphasis on ethics and discussions during that quarter as well. Then the third quarter, law office management and the practice of law. And again, that's a pretty broad area. You know, it can be as simple as kind of knowing what paralegals do, what lawyers do, that kind of fine line sometimes to where somebody could be getting into the unauthorized practice of law. You know, to simple things as, you know, setting up really effective filing systems and what you're required to keep, how long you're required to keep documents, all those kind of things, going over them. And then finally, quarter four, client communications, advocacy, and negotiation. We recommend, strongly recommend, that you do the first two quarters first, because they really lay a foundation for the rest of the work that you'll be doing in the mentorship program. But I know that sometimes, you know, the way people's plans are, they'll find that there may be, you know, something in the quarter one that they end up doing in quarter three. You know, the world's not going to fall apart at all if you do that. So this gives you a little more specific on one of the first quarter. You know, and I think I've really pretty much gone over all of these pieces that you'll be doing. These are the mandatory topics. Some optional first quarter activities are like checking out some state bar sections, making a courthouse visit, going to your mentor's law office, you know, meeting his or her coworkers, colleagues, paralegals, kind of seeing how they run their office, making a jail visit. And I know some people, especially people in the DA's office and the PDO's office, laugh when they look at these and they say, God, first day on the job, you know, I was at the courthouse. And we recognize that, and all you got to do is just, done, check mark it off. But there are other people in different types of practices who might not have that same kind of situation. But the court, the Supreme Court, the people who put the curriculum together, believe that it's important that everyone who's a lawyer gets to a courtroom, you know, really knows what it is, where it is, who's in it, how it works, that, you know, that people look at going to jail. Even though maybe you practice civil law and you have no intention whatsoever of ever doing criminal law, it's still probably a good idea, just, you know, you're a lawyer, to say, you know, yeah, you know, I have seen the jail. Yeah, kind of have a sense of what it's like being in jail, you know, at least what the jail's like. So all of the materials that you need are available on the mentorship website, which is here. You can access it from the State Bar's main website. The forums are in there, the curriculum's in there, your approved mentor list is there, the curriculum resources, like I said, are there, the links to the evaluations. Really everything, handbooks that we've put together, for one for mentors, one for new lawyers, all of it is online. But for those of you who would like to have it on a flash drive, we've got them on the flash drive as well. So to let you know that. Something I really want to point out too, and this is important, is that we do have flexibility in this program, and we want you to know that. If you're looking at the curriculum together, and at any point, you know, you're looking at some of the electives and you think, well, you know, this one just doesn't seem to fit that well, or these. But you know what? I have an idea, you know, of something I think would be really useful for you, the new lawyer, for the type of practice you want to go into. The new lawyer has a specific idea, and it's not on the curriculum, just email us information about it. I will run it by Richard Spinello, who's our general counsel, and he's my supervisor. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, probably 10 out of 10 really, he'll say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And we'll approve it, and you put it in your curriculum plan. Okay? The other thing I really want to let you know is that the curriculum plans can be changed as you're going along. I've had people say, you know, we put together the curriculum plan, and I know in the beginning there's probably a certain amount of guessing you're having to do, kind of saying, well, okay, I think this might be interesting to talk more about or learn more about, but you're not really sure, you know. And then the two of you are meeting, you're getting to know each other, you're getting a better idea of maybe some of your deficits or, you know, areas you want to learn more about. You've got a better idea of your mentor's skills. And the two of you think, you know, instead of doing that, I really think this activity would make more sense. Not a problem. If you've already submitted the curriculum to us, again, just send us an email and say, hey, we said we were going to do in third quarter this. We changed our minds. We're going to do this instead. Done. You know? So please, you know, understand we can be flexible. We want this to work for you. We want it to be meaningful. And again, I just can't stress the importance of please communicate with us. If you've got any questions that come up at any time, call us with it. If you've got any concerns about the mentor relationship, call us. If you know, have an illness, we've had people who had to take a break from it because they had a family member get very ill, and they had to leave the state to take care of the person for several months. We will work with you. We know things happen. You know, there's no guarantee on what's going to go on in our lives or how smoothly or not it's going to be. So, you know, just communicate with us. If we know, then we can work with you on it. Types of mentoring, just to kind of give you an overview. Many of you will probably be in what we call an inside mentoring relationship, where you're both working, say, for the district attorney's office, or you're both in the same firm. The only caveat right now with that is that the commission does not want your direct supervisor to be your mentor. Okay? They're very concerned that new lawyers need to have a safe place, a safe relationship, to be able to ask questions, to be able to say, I don't know how to do this. You know, I remember, you know, we had this piece in law school, but I'm not sure about this. And not be afraid that, oh my God, if I admit, you know, I'm not sure about something, I might get in trouble with work. We also realize that, you know, even if you're being mentored by somebody in the same firm and they're not your direct supervisor, you probably aren't going to have that complete sense of, I can reveal my vulnerabilities and not be concerned, which is why we really do recommend, if you can, to have somebody outside of your firm, but some firms will not go for that. So. But that's the inside mentoring, where you're both in the same firm or same office. Outside is where you're with one firm or government office or whatever, and your mentor is from another one. And then circle mentoring was really designed originally kind of for the rural areas, where you may have one mentor and like they're mentoring 2 or 3 mentees. So it's almost like a, you know, a small group experience. There aren't very many of those official ones going on right now. But some of the feedback that we've gotten, so this is especially for you mentors, for mentors who have gone through the program, is several of them have said they really think it would be useful and fun to have, a meeting or two, maybe like on ethics, some of the questions with that, where they got together, 2, 3, 4 mentors and their mentees and did kind of a group discussion. And I agree, a lot of times I think when you have more people involved, you've just, you've got more perspectives, it makes it more interesting, it brings up some things that might not happen otherwise. We are going to be looking at that, of how we might be able to facilitate that, but it's not something that I have in place right now. So, I want to encourage you, if that's something you think you'd like to do, look around mentors. You can look at the mentor list, and that'll give you an idea of who else is a mentor, if you don't know. And if there's a couple people there that, you like, you work with some, and you think, yeah, I think that would be a good one to get us together as a small group. I want to encourage you to pursue that. And if you want, we can try to help with that. If you want to give us a call and say, hey, I've got this idea, do you think you could get a hold of some mentors and, mentees in the area and see if we can put together a meeting? I'll try to help with that. I know for people particularly who are involved in outside mentor relationships, there are concerns about client confidentiality and liabilities. I think just to begin with, a caution is that for the most part, don't mentor someone you know is going to be representing opposing parties or other sides of issues. That'll make it a little easier to begin with for everybody. I also want to encourage you again to read the rule. And in that rule, they talk some about confidentiality, about liability, and then in the new lawyer's handbook and the mentor's handbook, there's some more information about that hopefully will address any concerns that you might have about this. You also can refer to, and I believe we have this, I'm going to need to double check, but I think we've got the ABA formal opinion online with our materials. But it kind of sets out some guidelines for conversations that you might be having about specific cases. It's not a requirement of the curriculum, but I think just it's a natural element that might come up as you're working in a mentor relationship that, a new lawyer might want to say, I've got this case, and what do you think, about this, or how should I handle this, or whatever. The guidelines are, as much as possible, try to talk in hypothetical terms, certainly at a minimum, anonymous. All of you know that, I'm sure. Limit the information that you provide to your mentor, or new lawyer if you're talking about a specific example for them. Try to limit that to essential information only. Make sure it's non-prejudicial to the client. And we haven't had this happen, but I mean, if absolutely necessary, you might request a waiver if it's needed. Realize that there's probably never going to be absolute zero risk, but on the other hand, I don't think that there is a large degree of risk either in this area, not the way that people have been handling it. But again, Richard Spinello, who is the Bar Counsel, General Counsel, and he works with the ethics hotline, and he's available. So if at any point, something comes up where you're just really wondering, how far should we go in discussing, this particular case or example or whatever, give Richard a call, and run it by him. That's one of the things he's here for. Okay. I mentioned before, but I just want to say again that there are some real important issues in the profession and facing it. This is a high-stress profession. And we do see that when you look at the rates of substance abuse in the legal profession, they tend to be about twice what we see in the general population. And unfortunately, the rates of depression tend to run about 3 times higher in the legal profession. And it really starts in law school, we're seeing. There's been quite a bit of research with that and surveys, and we find that people entering law school have about the same framework and kind of mental health that their colleagues going to other graduate programs have. At the end of the first year of law school, unfortunately, our law students' depression rates and anxiety rates are shooting up. At one point, we're getting into like the 40 and 45 percentile of people reporting depression. Fortunately, it does drop after you get out of law school, you pass the exam, and you're kind of past that piece of it. But I'll be honest with you, just in general, it never does drop back to the rates of the general population. So I think it's particularly important that you know the signs, that you know where the resources are, that you discuss it, and that you really prioritize taking care of yourselves and having a balance. And I know that's easier said than done, and especially depending on where you're working. Sometimes it can be an incredible challenge, and that's one of the reasons I think that we see people leaving firms and leaving certain places of employment, sometimes leaving the profession, and if at all possible, we want to stop that last part and help people find hopefully a good niche, where they're happy with what they're doing and they're able to have a life outside of the office. I think the good news is, though, even though there is a lot of stress and there does seem to be higher rates of depression and substance abuse, a lot of the surveys also show very high rates of satisfaction. That people who are going into the legal profession, by and large, are going in not to make the big bucks. They're going in because they're motivated. They want to make a change in society. They want to help people. And most lawyers are finding ways to do that, and to meet those internal needs and personal needs, as well as the needs that of their clients and society. But it definitely does take work to do that. And these are just some of the things that kind of can feed into it. There certainly are a lot of professional pressures. I know particularly if you're with a firm that's saying, okay, here's our expectation. We want this many billable hours every week, and you're thinking, I have a spouse. I need to exercise. It's not just the billable hours, but all the things you have to do to prepare for those too. It's tough. And most of you, I'm sure, you all are driven. You're probably all very, maybe not perfectionistic, all of you, but I'm sure that you have high standards for yourselves. You have high standards for other people, and that's admirable. It's a really good trait, but it's a trait that sometimes it can be not so good for your mental health if you go too far with it. So kind of knowing some of that. And I think things are changing. We don't have so many of those, 2 and 3 martini business lunches anymore. But there's still, a lot of firms that, Friday afternoon they open up the bar and people talk and unwind. And I'm not a prohibitionist. I'm not trying to tell people not to use alcohol at all. But use it with awareness. Be cautious with it because it can sneak up on you, the problems. So, kind of really just in summary, I guess, really do what you can. Look at there are CLE offerings at times that will be about things like good mental health, about meditation and different kinds of practices you can build into your life to help you be more kind of balanced with it. Take some time every once in a while to kind of look at how are you spending your time and what are your values, what's important to you, and are those jiving, you know, or are they getting kind of out of scale? And looking at your attitude. That really, the longer I'm around, the older I get, the more I realize how much power our attitude has about things. You know, you can have two people in the exact same situation and they take it very differently, and one person just gets totally in a panic or anxious or upset because of their expectations and what they're reading into the other person's behavior and intentions. And the other person will look at it and say, you know what? I know they were late for our appointment today. Yes, it's kind of throwing me off. It's somewhat irritating, but, you know, maybe they are having problems managing their time, you know, or, you know, that's their issue. And they're able to kind of let it go and move on. And the one person's doing fine, the other person's blood pressure shooting up, and cortisol is rushing through their body, and, you know, it's setting up for the rest of a bad day. So, you know, taking some time to really look at and work with your attitude and your expectations of yourself and of other people will go a long way. Finally, some resources if you are interested in any of those aspects. There's a couple of groups that are really dedicated to all of the other aspects of the person and the lawyer. The Renaissance Lawyer Group and the Thriving Lawyers. And those are two links to their websites. They put on some online programs and also have just a lot of information available on the web. And then the Lawyers and Judges Assistance Program. We have a 24-hour helpline that I answer. You can call at any time. You can stop by my office. You can send me an email. You know, if you've got a question, a concern for yourself, for a friend, a colleague, or a family member, you know, that affects you too. So I'm here to serve you all and to help you all with this. And definitely anything related to the mentorship program, you can get a hold of Elizabeth or get a hold of me. Okay. And that is it. We should have lunch available across the hall in the Kelleher room. So I want to encourage you to come over and join us for that. And then you all are free to go. And I wish you the very best with your mentorship relationships. Again, I want to thank you all for coming here today. And again, I want to thank the mentors for what you're doing. Thank you.